Hello and welcome to another edition of Koliwe Cooks. It's Koliwe here. Don't know if you can tell how excited I am to be coming to you with this recipe. So today has been a very gloomy day in Johannesburg, and I wanted to obviously have something quite hearty and just something that's gonna really warm me up and have me feel very cozy indoors today. So I have made this recipe of ostrich fillet that's been pan-seared. We are serving this with a tikka flavored rice. So I'm using a brown rice today. However, you can use any other rice. I would not recommend using basmati rice, however. So honestly, all in all, I'm very, very happy with this recipe. It's served with some balsamic vegetables that are really good accompaniment to this whole dish, because everything else is quite savory, and the balsamic as it reduces has this really sweet flavor and a bit of a tangy bit that it adds to the dish. So it's quite balanced, I would say, with regards to flavors. So just take note that the protein I'm using is obviously not a very regularly used protein. However, it's definitely one of my favorite proteins, and this is ostrich, especially the fillet. So one thing about ostrich is that it's the one protein that has literally the least amount of fat in it. In fact, it's nearly zero fat in ostrich steaks. And so you will notice that I did pan-sear it with some olive oil, but I did just finish it up with a bit of butter in there because I do think that we needed a bit, of fat in this. Something else that's really important about ostrich is that because it doesn't have fat or marbling on the steak, it does tend to dry up if it gets overcooked. So don't even try to make your ostrich fillet go anything above, I would say, medium. And the reason for this, like I said, is what gives normal steaks some bit of tenderness, even though they're overcooked, in my book, is the fact that they have some marbling, and so the fat gets into the other tissue or fiber or muscle, and at least there's still some tenderness to it. You're still able to chew it and not choke on it and that sort of thing. However, ostrich does not have any fat, and so as it dries up, it literally dries up because it's losing all the juices from the blood, all the juices in general, and it becomes really, really hard. You could hit someone on the head with it and they'll literally topple over type of thing. So if you are gonna use ostrich, be very careful about the cooking temperature. I would say stick to the time that I've given you on the recipe to ensure that you have optimal enjoyment of the protein. I really, really enjoyed mine. I think it was just about medium rare in the middle. I would say medium on the sides, but I was still very happy with it. Yeah, guys, the rice is very, very nice as well. Literally doesn't need any sauces or anything afterwards because it's flavorful enough on its own. And so yeah, it's a complete recipe like that. Thank you so much for joining me today. Do join me again when I do my uploads, and if you want to be able to see every single time I upload, especially now during lockdown, because I am going to be uploading quite a few recipes a week, I would turn on the notifications so that you can see everything that I put up. Do subscribe if you haven't, and share my video so that more people can see it and more people can have this lovely, lovely food. Thank you for joining me today. You have a good one.
This is everything you'll need for this recipe. For the rice ingredients, I did not mention that you'll also need 200 grams of spinach. Please add that on if you are going to be making this recipe. I always preheat my pans and pot. So the pot goes in the rice, and we have some preheated oil, about 2 tablespoons on the pan. And then about a tablespoon of salt goes into the rice, and some bay leaves. I am using boiling water, and it starts boiling right away because my pot is preheated. And then I just let that go. That's the rice. In the pan, we will saute some onions. That's one small onion that has been diced. That goes for a couple of minutes until it starts becoming translucent and fragrant. Once that is ready, you can see now it's not as white as it was before. I introduce the red peppers, which are also diced, and some minced garlic. So we saute that for a bit, and then this is just until it just softens a bit. It doesn't need to be all the way cooked. So I'm creating my own curry paste. I am using a tikka spice today, about 2 tablespoons of it, and then I'll use 2 teaspoons of the tomato paste. So 2 teaspoons go into the spice. I'm mixing this on the side because I want it to be a paste before I put it into my pot. And then I'll use just about a tablespoon of water because it's way too dry and it's not coming together like a paste should. So I'll just mix that in there before getting it into my pot. There we go, some water. And it's perfect. So you can always do this, not just with this spice, with any other like curry powders or garam masala if you're wanting to make like a paste for whatever reason. So I'll stir this into my onions and peppers, just so it's properly disintegrated. So I'll wait for the tomato paste to basically cook through, and I'll also wait for the spices to cook through a bit. So the way you know that they're cooked, you don't want them to burn. What you want them to do is they become fragrant, and then you know they are ready. Mine are now ready after about 3 minutes, and I take a bit of water from my rice and I deglaze my pot. So I don't mind the fact that there are little rice speckles that are in this because I'm just deglazing it into the rice anyway. This is the prep for my rice. So this is why I'm calling this a tikka flavored rice. The rice it had just been boiling. It's not ready at all. It's literally raw, but I want it to cook in the sauce because it'll be more saturated with it. We move on to our side vegetables. I'm going to start with chickpeas in a bit of oil. I think I'm using about 2 tablespoons of oil. So I'm just going to let that go for a couple of minutes. What I'm trying to have with the chickpeas is that they must be a little crispy. So that went, I think, 5 minutes before I introduced the green beans. So the green beans go in, and I use soy sauce to flavor this. So because I'm using a soy sauce, I'm not going to use any salt. Just make sure you don't do that because the soy sauce is quite salty, as you know. Then I'm just stirring this around just so everything incorporates and the flavor goes throughout all the vegetables. So the green beans were raw, so I did pour in about 1/4 of a cup of water in there, and I shut the lid. And the reason for that is I want my green beans to actually cook through just a little bit. While that happens, I added a bit of the spinach, not a bit of it, sorry, 200 grams of chopped spinach goes in to my rice. So I've just added some balsamic vinegar. 2 to 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar go in. The water is still remaining in there, but it's slowly evaporating, and that's why I'm not going to close the lid any further. My green beans do look cooked, so the only thing I'm trying to do right now is have this thing reduced. adding pepper as well, just because there is already the salty flavor from the soy sauce. Just a bit of pepper won't hurt anybody. So the balsamic vinegar is a nice addition here because we've got salt, but now the balsamic vinegar is going to give us a bit of acidity and some sweetness to our vegetables. Okay, so I'm just stirring the spinach through my rice. You can see a lot of the water has actually evaporated, and when you do get a chance, just get rid of the bay leaves. Nobody likes to eat and chew into a bay leaf. Make sure you remove all of them by the time you're done. Vegetables are pretty much ready. As you can see, it's fully evaporated and the vinegar has reduced, so they are perfect. Rice is still going. We're back again with our pan, but now we're doing our ostrich steaks. These are fillet steaks and they have been tenderized, so flattened and just tenderized quickly. I always use paper towels to just dry, pat my meat or protein dry. These were really wet, and I see some pieces of the paper towels are actually being left behind, which is not ideal. So just always watch out for that if you're patting dry using a paper towel and not a kitchen towel. Using some olive oil, about a tablespoon. This is for our ostrich. The ostrich is nice and dry. Now I'm flavoring it. We're flavoring our ostrich fillets with garlic powder, some salt and pepper. That is on the one side. This is the side that's gonna go onto the heat first, and then I'll get a chance to season the top while it's in the pan. The pan is quite hot, but this is perfect because I want these to be medium rare. This is a trick when you want your meat to be medium rare. You want your heat to be really hot because you don't want your meat cooking too much while you're still trying to get up to temperature and seal the bottom. So this gets nice and sealed and has a beautiful crust at the bottom without the inside being fully cooked through. I am also using a tablespoon of butter because this helps us with another layer of flavor, because butter is extremely flavorful, but it also helps us with the much needed fat for this cut of meat. You're gonna have your steaks go for 4 minutes on the one side and then just 2 minutes on the last side. This should be perfectly medium rare. Obviously it depends on how it's cut. If it's cut evenly, it'll be more evenly cooked as well. My rice is cool. You just fluff it through with a fork, and after 20 minutes of this, you switch off the heat, but keep the pot on the heat because you want the rice to steam further without burning. 4 minutes have elapsed and I am turning my ostrich fillets. I'm very happy with the color at the bottom. Those go for another 2 minutes and we are done with them. These need to rest now for 5 minutes before being cut or even touched, so I leave them on the side. To plate, I have a plate with the vegetables I made with balsamic reduction. I cut through my fillet and that's how I see if it's properly cooked, and I'm very happy with the temperature. I use the ramekin to mold my rice, and it is the perfect serving. Using a few herbs, I just garnish. So you can use you can use steak or lamb chops as an alternative for ostrich here. I am pairing this with the Warwick Cape Lady, which is a Cape blend with the vintage 2017. This is quite robust in flavor, and so it is perfect accompaniment for this spicy, flavorful rice with the ostrich that can take it. As always, please subscribe, like, and click on the notifications button so you know the next time I upload.